When graphing this equation, we see a number of different things. So first, I had copied and pasted the equation in, and I'm going to have to put carets and time symbol. Okay, so first we were told to graph the equation like this. So as you can see, we get this kind of squiggly line thing. So this is not a linear equation, because if you were to do the vertical line test and take one line, you would see that one vertical line would intersect the points 0, 0, 0, 1, or no, 0, 1, and 0, negative 1. So since it intersects more than one point, and in this case it intersects 3, it does not pass that test. All right, so now we kind of see these loops. They're kind of weird, and this one's concave down and concave up, and then it kind of increases into the first quadrant and decreases into the third quadrant. So now we're going to try this with 2. So what we get here is slightly smaller loops. The same idea, that doesn't pass the vertical line test, meaning it's not a linear function, still increasing in the first quadrant and decreasing in the third. And we can also see even before that the graph crosses the axis, crosses through the point 0, 0, through the origin. So now we can try with 1. And this is where things get strange. There is a line, a diagonal line, but it's not a function, a linear function, because of this ellipse-looking object. And that is kind of around the origin of the graph. And again, it is still increasing in the first quadrant and decreasing in the third. So now I'm going to try a 0. Now what we see is something somewhat flipped from what we had before. Before we had 1 here and 1 there. So this kind of got turned. So we had 1 loop here, 1 loop facing like that, and 1 loop facing like that. 1 loop facing like that and 1 loop facing like that. So now we have something more of like an S shape. Still going through the origin, still intersecting the points 0, 1, 0, negative 1, and 0, 0, and still increasing in the first quadrant and decreasing in the third. So for our next, we'll try negative 1. And what we can notice that this is starting to straighten out. The kinks are starting to loosen up. The line, it almost looks like it's trying to form a line, but still not, because it's still intersecting in those points. So then we can try a negative 2. And even more, we see that it is straightening out and trying to form a line. So out of curiosity, I thought that maybe putting 0 in on this side and 0 in on this side would do something. And it did. It made this equation a linear function. Now there is a line rather than being squigglies where it does not pass the vertical line test. So this definitely passes the vertical line test, and is a linear function. So then we move on to putting this back to a 1, and this, the fraction I tried was 3/4. So when graphing this, we kind of see that this was from our first, when we tried out our first, the first time we got the S. This kind of looks the same, except it's kind of more rigid and not exactly the same. And to that end, I believe that if x is less than or equal to 0, the line will be straight if both values are the same on both sides. So if there's a 0 here and a 0 there, then it'll be a straight line or a linear function. And if there's a -1 here and a -1 here, then there'll be a linear function.